Welcome to another exciting episode of What's in the Box, or rather, in this case, what was in the box, since I received my latest purchases some time ago. So I've got a couple of things to show off today. And let's get this one out of the way first off. We have Coldplay's new single, Higher Power. Yes, I'm afraid I do like Coldplay. I do fall in and out of love with Coldplay. I spend long periods when I don't listen to them, and then I'll return to them, and then it will go back the other way again. It could be argued in the last, I don't know, 7 or 8 years or so that Coldplay have kind of got away from sounding like a band, and this new single which is called Higher Power, is to an extent a continuation of that, and it actually sounds quite similar to a song called Hurts Like Heaven, which is from their 2011 album Malo Xyloto. The drums sound almost identical, and the tempo is virtually the same. It's certainly a different song, but it has a very similar feel to it, shall we say. But that's not to say that I don't like what Coldplay have done over the last 7 or 8 years. They've developed as a band, and they've changed, and they've evolved. There are a lot of fans who say, you know, why can't they just go back to sounding more like an organic sort of band as they were with the first 2 or 3 albums, you know, with Parachutes, A Head Full of Dreams, and X and Y. I get the feeling actually that one day they will actually go back to that sort of sound. I think they will naturally go back in that sort of direction. But you know, I like this. I like how Higher Power. It's quite sort of uplifting. It's not like anything you'll hear on their previous album from 2019, Everyday Life. That was a very unusual album. In fact, I think it was one of the most imaginative albums I've heard from a mainstream artist in some years. I was very impressed by it. But Higher Power sounds like it's going back to a more straightforward sort of pop sound, perhaps more along the lines of the Head Full of Dreams album. So presumably this is the lead single or an advanced single for a new album that they have either completed or are in the process of completing. This single has very simple presentation. It's just a little slipcase, and it just has 1 track on it. It's only got Higher Power on it. They could have put a B-side on there. I mean, even if it's just a live track or something, it couldn't have been hard. But there we are. So that's Coldplay's Higher Power. And the second release that I've just bought, it came out only last week, was Skellig by David Gray. And David is, I think, a wonderful artist, great songwriter. I would actually rank him among the all-time greats. Why? Because he has that unique signature in his music, which is his and his alone. If you hear him on the radio, you know it's him. Skellig is actually the first album I've bought of David's since White Ladder, and I don't really know why that's the case, because he's released quite a number of albums over the course of 20 years now since White Ladder came out, and every time he releases something, I always think I should get that, and I never do. For some reason, I just never get around to it. But I have finally got around to it with Skellig, and it's a lovely little album. The writing process of this album spans about 20 years, I think, but it was recorded, I think, very quickly in a set of sessions over the course of about a week in 2018 up in Scotland. So I've listened to the album a couple of times already, and it's a very acoustic album, and quite contemplative, very quiet, very thoughtful. It's not like White Ladder at all. David's moved on from there considerably. And it's not an album for the party animal, let's put it that way, but that's fine by me. I'm not into music for party animals. But I think the highlight on the album for me is one of its lead singles, which is a song called Heart and Soul. It's got this lovely guitar riff. I mean, everything on that song just comes together. I mean, the way David sings the vocal, the combination of the guitar and the voices and the synths, you know, it's just a lovely little song, you know, and it's almost kind of meditative, you know. I love that guitar riff, you know. It's a beautiful song, and one of the best I think I've heard from David for quite some time. Another of my favourites on there, Accumulates, I think is a great track. And one thing that doesn't feature a great deal on the album is drums. There are drums on Accumulates, but that's probably the most extensive use of them. As I say, it's quite minimalistic and quite simple in terms of its arrangements. One of the features on the album is the vocal harmonies, and that's immediately obvious from the opening track and the title track, Skellig. But I'm impressed with it. Having listened to it a couple of times already, I'm quite into it. And I really need to get around to buying some more of David's albums, because he is such a wonderful artist. And you know, as I say, I think he's among the very, very best. So so that's the two latest purchases of mine, and I think I'll stick this on again now, actually.